shit on the headlight.
I'm your host, Sammy, aka FINS on X. As always, my co-host Steve Hallett. Steve, welcome to the show.
Sammy, how we doing? We're going back to our roots. Got a show on a Wednesday night here. We're being flexible. Got some people in Florida, some people in their cars. It's a great day to talk about some Dolphins and Panthers, and then see what we're gonna do when we go up to Philly this week for some Sunday night football.
Well, Wednesday's our lucky night. Our last post on Wednesday it's over right now with 1,600 views. So we're doing good on Wednesdays. So everything's good on Wednesday. We're probably our lucky night. So we had a lot to talk about. It was a very interesting week. A lot of things happening to the Dolphins. So we're gonna start on this episode. Well, we're gonna talk about the current state of the Dolphins as always. We're gonna start talking about the victory of the Panthers, the home field advantage that Hard Rock has become lately, and that last weekend the Dolphins honor Zach Thomas during halftime to the Panthers game was a great moment. I was there. I'm gonna share my thoughts on that. That was awesome. But this Sunday is the huge matchup against the defending NFC champions Philadelphia Eagles. So that's gonna be interesting. The media already having their opinion of what's going on with the Dolphins and the Dolphins to part to the Eagles. And we got some shoutouts. It's for sure it's gonna be a huge showdown this Sunday, Steve.
This coming up Sunday?
Yeah, this Sunday.
Oh man,
I can't wait for Sunday night.
Oh, I can't wait. You know, I can't say I'm as kind of nervous as I was heading into the Buffalo week, but you know, it's I think I've alluded to it quite a few times on the show here that I'm loving every game day, but when the whistle's over, I enjoy it for a few hours, and I'm just like, okay, who do we got coming up now? Because I think it's because I want the momentum, the way that the Dolphins are just killing it right now. I want it to continue so much. It's just afraid to breathe, you know, just waiting for that, you know, the whisper to just say, hey.
So you don't want to wake up. It's like
I don't want to wake up. Exactly. But no, it's everything is exciting. We picked a great year to start FINS TV, and have some great games to talk about, because I think talking about losses definitely would not be as fun every single week.
It's always hard to talk about it all. So it's a great way we're winning. So hopefully we keep it going. With their Dolphins are 5-1 right now. Only 5 teams are 5-1 right now. No more undefeated teams. So that's always great news. Don't shoot, I'm always smiling. So we're going to start with the Dolphins' victory over the Panthers.
Hubbard, good block in there. Cade Mays, he's got the touchdown with a flag throw. Roden a block in the end zone, touchdown. Thielen. Hill on the move. It's Hill. Makes one miss. Ahmed in motion. Jet sweep pass. Hill. Foot race. The corner and the sideline. Mostert is in. Another dart to the throw. Mostert is back there. Lamb a block. It's Mostert. Blocked by Smythe. Touchdown, Miami. First First and 10, Miami's ball. Mostert getting the block from Hill. He explodes and spins and drives. There he goes. In gold. Here they come. There he goes. Tua. Caught. Touchdown. Waddle. He beats Franklin. 4-yard touchdown pass. Ahmed back there. Smythe the block. Here he's got him. Waddle's team. Lamb the block. Go. He's got him. He's got Hill. And they've got a touchdown. Oh, he smoked him. Woo!
This ISO back on the backside. Tua comes out looking to his left the entire time, and Tyreek Hill just one-on-one with no safety help from Farley. That's a tall order against the fastest wide receiver in the NFL.
Rush. Young, look out for Wilkins. And Chubb.
100 in the first half.
Ahmed the back, Lamb the block, the throw. It's caught by Hill. Look at him. He's slippery. Rocketing his way. Slaloming out of bounds, and he's slow. It's good. Second and goal. Mostert. Diving. Touchdown. Mostert has scored his second touchdown today. That one by Lamb, the first by C as they dance their way to a 27-14 lead at 27. Mostert. He outraces Bruget. Hill. He hurdles. Today, Mostert. Touchdown. And 11. And Tua going long. Shame to see that this late in the game. Third and goal. Ahmed looking for a block, and he got it from Hill, and he tries to cross. Hit the pylon. Got it. Touchdown, Miami. Reception, Mike McDaniel.
It's really a great win. The Dolphins, I was fortunate to be there during the game. The stadium was really quiet after the second touchdown. You can see the air went out of the building. But there was a cautious optimism, not like other years when Dolphins were down by 2 touchdowns. You say, "Uh-oh, this is over." There was a expectation that Dolphins would, but I could say that over 90% of the stadium was Dolphins fans, which is refreshing because lately, over the years, a lot of visitors pack either Sun Life, Propeller Stadium, Joe Robbie, or now Hard Rock. But it was mostly Dolphins fans. We were refreshing. It was a great win. The team didn't panic. Great coaching job by Mike McDaniel.
Sorry, I'm sitting there
There you
talking
go.
on mute. No, I'm here. I'm here. But no, it was. It's great to know that you were there. It's one of those things you don't get to experience on when you're watching on television. Is how many fans are in there. Sometimes you can hear them when the opposing team does something well. But I did notice how quiet it got, and it's very refreshing to be able to spot the opposing team 14 points, essentially 25% of the game. Because what did we get? One possession in that first quarter and then still come back and rattle off 35 unanswered points and cruise on the way to a victory. So I know that as soon as we scored the first one and then we just started rolling along, the defense got into the game and seemed to kind of wake up a little bit more, that it got a lot more exciting. It's exciting to see Coach McDaniel roll out a different wrinkle. That touchdown pass to Mostert, where the defense didn't know what was going on, the cameraman didn't really know what was going on, even Kevin Harlan didn't know what was going on. So that was really exciting. Raheem Mostert proving all the haters wrong, proving me right. He's second 3-touchdown game of the year. He's already tied for the most 3-touchdown games by a running back in a year with 2. So my fingers crossed he can go out there and put up another one of those. But Tyreek, Waddle got everybody in on the action. It was really exciting. Robbie Chosen was in there on one of the key plays. It was exciting to see that. So it's overall, they go out there, they handle their business, they do what they were expected to do, which again, you just don't know. I think everybody, raise your hand if you thought that maybe this was one of those, everybody hates the word trap game. Trap games don't exist. Well, they do exist. And just ask the Dallas Cowboys when they went to Phoenix. But, it's one of those things I kind of expected this slow start, and we're just like, oh man, and even in our, home and our patio watching with everybody, we're just like, what is going on? I was up after the the backward pass to Mostert, and he overthrew him, I'm like, it's backwards. I got up, I
People
screamed.
were going crazy in their stand. They were
I
so
will.
mad already, like the game was over after the
I
Panthers
couldn't
got
even
off.
hear because I was screaming so much. I went inside the patio, slammed the door, stormed off. I got myself another beer or something like that. But no, it was definitely an exciting game, and again, I'm glad that you were able to go there and watch it and experience what it's like to put 35 up in a row. Because I was there when that happened
Yeah,
against the
you can
Chargers.
see we're getting spoiled when people were getting mad because the Dolphins are up by a couple of scores and they throw a pick six, and the fans were so mad as they were going to drop the game. So
It's
there was some people expecting, oh, they're coming back. No, they're not coming back. The Dolphins are
reminiscent of the Broncos game where they ran the kickback for a touchdown. You're just like, oh man, like really? Still
that
beat them
that
by 50.
yeah, that's still the part of the Dolphins game that worries me. They need to find a way that when they're on top, they gotta finish them. Uh, but still, uh, you can see they're still growing compared to last year's leap and bounds. So they're under control, and the offensive line did their job. They were patient. They stayed in control of the game. That's not a bad D. The one they played last week. They're one of the upper bottom of the pass defense. So they were not showing change. They were a pretty good D, and that's the important thing. That they stay calm. And McDaniel, you can see, is taking an approach that's important to remain calm, to remain in control of the game, how important the mental part of the game is, not only on the execution, is to be under control, to stay in the momentum, to build on it. So you can see the McDaniel is really really taking care of that part of the game.
Yeah, it's the defense does start slowly, and I don't know if it's I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Fangio just trying to wait to get a little bit of a feel for the game, see what the teams are running out there. I do still believe that the softer zone, the teams are taking advantage of that, but they in this game they gave up those two touchdowns, the long drives, which again led to us only having that one possession in the first quarter. But I want to see more turnovers. I want to see more pressure on them. I want to see them getting the hands on the ball and at least show like you have a chance of getting the interceptions. But I want to be, I don't want to be what is it? Pound smart, penny foolish, something like that, whatever you want to call it. But I don't want to ignore the fact that we are showing up. Our defense is producing. They are getting those pressures, which in the years past, we had a ton of pressures. We would be up close to the top of the league in pressures on the quarterback, but we weren't getting the sacks. We're
Yeah,
actually getting it. And it's
yeah,
doing it quietly. We're not going out there and just dominating so much, but I don't have the stats up here in front of me. Usually I have them, but how we're doing in terms of performing with sacks on defense. But we're getting home more now, which is
yeah.
refreshing, and it's definitely helping.
It's something about the spacing. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. The guys are usually wide open. They're getting pressure, and we have okay corners. With Kohu is pretty good, and Howard is not the player he used to be, but he's still up to par. But the spacing, they were running on so many wide lanes that you can see the guys were wide open. And
Yep.
even when they was close, they were still catching the ball. But they had way too many opportunities when they're wide open. That I don't know if I want to believe, as I always say, I want to believe that as the season goes on, Fangio is gonna find a way to tighten it up, and the pressure is important. When you can get pressure on a quarterback, that helps the corners. And Jalen Ramsey coming back this week, and Nick Needham coming back, that's gonna be a huge help.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going to happen with Needham. Coming off the Achilles is kind of tough.
That's
I've hoped that he's going to be able to recover
mhm,
and at least be a positive producer.
mhm,
As much as I've ripped on Eli Apple in the past, he's given up a couple, but he's also shown up a lot more than I really expected him to, where we've needed him. I really hope Xavier's groin isn't that bad. I think we've seen him experience some groin injuries in the past that he hurried back from, that he wasn't able really to fully recover from. And yes, this morning woke up, got to work, busy, busy, busy. A couple hours in, I just had a chance to check out social media, and I saw somebody post up a picture of Jalen Ramsey. I'm like, hold on a second. So I do the quick scroll down through. And I'm like, he's back,
yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see if and when they bring him in. But overall, again, Sammy, the weekend was a great one. Again, glad you were able to be there for the Fins Club weekend or fan
Yeah,
weekend.
we're gonna talk a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes, seconds of about the atmosphere, the Hard Rock, and everything. So many new things over there. So we're gonna talk. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. But we're gonna be joined now by our esteemed panelists, Matt Armstrong and Eddie Chaput. Matt Armstrong on location, and Eddie Chaput. Good evening, guys.
Matt Armstrong is on
Good evening.
location in witness protection program.
I'm the one who's supposed to be in location this week, and he up, you know, Matt, how you doing? I'm gonna start with
I'm
you.
good.
You had your chance to see the last week's game. It was an interesting game. The Dolphins were down by a couple of touchdowns. They found a way to come back. So I want to know your thoughts about the game.
I think that I've shown on our broadcast I'm an eternal optimist, and I'd like to believe that the defense went out there to try some things, just try some new things. Rookie quarterback, winless team. Let's try this. Okay, let's stop doing that. Let's go ahead and get serious out here. And they ran off 35 in a row before an unfortunate pick six. But it was what we expected. If we break up those first two touchdowns the Panthers had and put them, in the second and fourth quarter, nobody's surprised by that end result. It was surprising that the Panthers came out. They showed life. They showed we're an NFL team, and maybe got our attention a little bit. I know that social media was boiling over. It's always funny as well as irritating to see people lose it on social media because the opponent scored a touchdown. But ultimately, it went the way we all expected it to in terms of the final score.
Absolutely. And when the Dolphins were down 14 points, the one thing what came to my mind was Eddie. I said, Eddie must be going bonkers so mad right now. So, Eddie, I want to know two thoughts. What were you thinking when the Dolphins were down 2 scores at home against the Panthers? Or five?
It was all right. They given up the first touchdown, and then they didn't do anything on the offense. Then they gave up another touchdown, and I was getting a little frustrated. Then some of the I don't know when the play was where Tua threw it backwards, and I was screaming, but it was
everybody was.
I know it was scary. I was like, they said they had a great week of practice. They said they were prepared for the game. So I figure I know it's easy to say we're going to take this opponent seriously, but no matter what, you see they're 0-5 at the time. It's got to go through your mind. There is such thing as trap games, and they just fell into it a little bit. And I'm going to tell you, before they would have lost that game, they would have just kept giving up points and not scoring and turning the ball over. But they put their foot down, said, all right, it stops here, and they rolled after that. It was good to see.
Yeah,
but I did cuss a lot at first.
What I call it the snowball effect. Those teams will be down to score, down 2 scores, and here comes the turnover, here comes the interception. They're forcing the ball, but they stay calm. You can see that McDaniel had the team calm. They had they're cool and collected, and they were up finding ways to move the ball, so they didn't start also. Steve, any last thoughts on the Panthers game before we talk about the home field advantage of how Rock has become the home field advantage lately for the Dolphins? You muted again, pal.
I'm trying not to make background noise here and then I forget that I'm on mute, but picking up on what Eddie started with and you carried on a little bit more during the post-game speech to the locker room. McDaniel was talking about how they didn't panic. They know what they are doing. And I think that's one of the big differentiators between McDaniel and what we've seen in the past, going back to Philbin and all the other offensive gurus that we've had, is they come out and say, oh my God, this isn't working. Well, how many chances did you really get before you realize, hey, we're just not executing it properly? And that's really what they weren't doing. They weren't executing properly on what they really needed to do. And McDaniel just stuck to the game plan. He knew what he wanted to do. He didn't need to dig into a bag of tricks. He didn't need to pull out a fake punt, which almost just made me throw up when I saw that they almost got that fake punt. But they didn't need to do those types of things. And McDaniel has that confidence. He has that ability to tap into what he knows we can do. And I don't know. Maybe if I was a player, he'd be inspiring me. Every now and then he says a couple things that inspire me, but I think it's just being caught up in the moment. But the players buy into it, and that's what matters the most. And they turned it around, they delivered. And other than that ridiculous pick six, which should answer everybody's question. Somebody in the media in the last couple of days was throwing out there, any quarterback can do this in this offense. Can they? Because you've got
Joe
number
Shad.
14. Yeah. No. Okay, all right. That's what it was. It was a question, and he went out there and said, I didn't exactly say that. But there are people saying that in the national media.
Who
That
was
any
it?
Joe Shad, you don't see it. You don't
he's,
see it because
he's
you're
on the
blocked.
Blocking Sammy club, so I don't know what he said.
He
Another
brought
one.
it up to McDaniel today.
Well, he did, and because I think he's repeating what he's hearing out there is that anybody can do it. But you've got Mike White, who's been here since through training camp, been through the mini camps. He's had a chance to run this offense, and he's not just going out there and running on all cylinders. I mean, against Denver he did, but everybody should be able to do it against Denver. But
And with that kind of momentum, there was no way he was going to fail.
Correct.
They had
Correct.
already gave up. So
in any case, nothing more on that game. Happy to take the W and moving on to the next week, 5-1.
yeah, most definitely. So we're going to talk a little bit very briefly about the advantage that Hard Rock has become. The Dolphins have won a lot of games lately, going back to last season and this season. Okay, like we were talking before the game, before the show, you know, teams fans travel to. They love to come to Miami. They love the weather. They love to the trip that goes to going to Miami. And usually during the games, they're gonna be like at the least 30% minimum. You're gonna see a lot of away fans. The Bills travel very well. I was there last year, and you can say almost half were Bills fans, but for this game was like more than 90% were Dolphins fans. It was great. Zach Thomas was honored during halftime, giving his Hall of Fame ring. You can see the ceremony. I put a video on the channel. You can see the whole ceremony. It was a great moment, very celebrating. So we all here Zach Thomas fans, so we're very, very happy when he was elected, and he's very much deserving. It was a great moment. And when you have the crowd is mostly 90% Dolphins fan, that makes the moment even better. But Steve, I know you have some thoughts about the home field advantage that Hard Rock Stadium has become lately. Even better than ever. So many amenities, so many improvements. They're doing a great job over there. But it was great when the product is good and you can see the Dolphins are playing well at home, and not only because of the sun and the heat and the weather.
Everything is always better when you're winning. Mondays are always better when they're victory Mondays. And we've been through the past decade plus of mediocrity and getting our hopes up in the off season to not seeing it come through to fruition. So, of course, Hard Rock Stadium, which is an absolutely beautiful stadium, no matter which way you cut it, to walk into, to experience games in. I make it a point, by the way, to not sit in the sun because I sweat enough when I'm sitting up in the overhang. I can't imagine sitting in that sun. But in terms of home field advantage, the Dolphins, you see the dubbing, the greatest show on surf, and I think that right now they're the greatest show when they're on the surf, when they're in Miami. I saw something where they're talking about their 15 wins over the past 17 games at home. It's an incredible streak. It's not an undefeated streak. Some people might say, well, yeah, were they 15-17 while at home wearing white jerseys and orange shoes? How many different layers you want to put in there? But there's really no other way to put it. They're not losing the games at home. They're playing a different game when they're at home. So they're not playing as well on the road, which again alludes to the fact that for some reason, whether it's the fact they get a good night's sleep, I don't know. The weather definitely is an advantage for them. Just like for the northern teams, they get the advantage of the cold weather. But whatever it is, they definitely do play a lot better when they're at home, and it's great to see. I just really need to find a way that they can bottle up that home air and bring it on the road and just give it to their players when they're, start this Sunday up into Philly. Next time you have to go up to Buffalo, any of these hard road games, go up to New Jersey to play the Jets on Black Friday this year. So, but it's definitely a home field advantage that they've experienced. I absolutely love it, and really hope the fans keep on coming out in those numbers to watch the team win.
Most definitely. Matt, what are your thoughts about the recent surge of the home field advantage at the Hard Rock Stadium? The Rock has become the home field advantage for the Dolphins.
I want to echo what Steve said a moment ago. It's the best stadium in the league. It's an absolute gem of a stadium. I don't know that there's a bad seat in the house if you don't worry about the visitors' side. Obviously, what a brilliant, and I would say this about any one of the other teams in the league, what a brilliant tactical advantage. I don't know if there's another stadium anywhere that takes advantage of something that cannot change. The only way it can change is, a night game or a cloudy afternoon game or anything like that. I've sat in that stadium in the end zone for a Bills game and swore I was never going to go again because I melted. I lost 25 pounds just sitting there, right? I think that the most important part about this is we can talk all day long. We can make fun of other teams and their fans and their gripes about the advantage. The real home field advantage has nothing to do with the stadium. It has everything to do with the product on the field. And I want to touch on something Steve said a moment ago in the previous segment. There is a calmness that starts at the top. McDaniel doesn't lose his cool at all, or at least I haven't seen it. Not in a way, not in the stereotypical, throw the clipboard down, rant and rave kind of a thing. And that bleeds into your team, and your team feeds off of it. Those guys, I just drew a blank as to who said it. Blake Ferguson said on Twitter yesterday he would die for this man, and there's not a more impactful statement that a player can make. And if you watch that mic'd up session, I would play for him too. He seems like he's clearly smart. He's clearly the architect of this offense. Why wouldn't you want to play for that guy? So the home field advantage really starts there. They need to put it together on the road too. Over the past 20 years, the Patriots had both a home and road advantage because of the team. There were teams that they would play that they already knew they were down by whatever the odds makers said they were, +7, whatever the case may be. That's where the real growth in this team's going to come, and it starts this coming Sunday night with what I think is a great test for the Dolphins in Philadelphia.
Most definitely. Eddie, you've been going to the games for a long time. We almost coincided in 2013. The stadium has changed so much in the days of the orange sheets where you can feel that we were melting in the stands. But right now it's a different kind of home field advantage. The Dolphins are playing confident Hard Rock Stadium. I want to know your thoughts about the recent home field advantage that Hard Rock Stadium has become.
I was in the end zone in the older stadium with the orange seats, and I would cook I was nice and tan, but wow, you talk about heat. That was just terrible. Now it's nice if you it's still hot. In Miami, it's hot. It doesn't matter if it's November or December. It's hot. Even if you're, like Steve said, if you're under the canopy or whatever, the humidity in Miami is a different animal than anywhere else. Even if it's raining, sometimes it's hot.
Yeah.
But the whole stadium is beautiful. Around the stadium is beautiful. They fixed up a lot of stuff. The parking lot used to be terrible. It's not anymore.
Yes.
My only issue is they don't know how to grow grass in Miami, I guess, because the field looked like crap again on the thing. From when they were showing the overview, there was guys slipping. I don't know if it's that disgusting product that the Hurricanes put out on the field every week or not, but it should have been fine for this week. It's just the grass. I don't know if they need to go to a different turf company or what, but other than that, I love the stadium. There's an advantage there. Yeah, it's the heat, but I don't know. You can feel a different vibe in this stadium than you could ever before.
Yeah,
it's like the old Orange Bowl.
Yeah, and Steven Ross, there's any way he can help, he's gonna spend the money. So there must be something that can be done.
That's why people get mad at Stephen Ross and they still want to call it Joe Robbie, whatever. This man has put so much time, effort, and money into that stadium and making that a first-class place. You got to give him props for that. He will spend whatever money that team needs.
Yeah.
So
at least the fans didn't boo him during the when he threw Zach Thomas. I was like, here come the boos, and like 15%, like boo. But it was. I think fans have started to appreciate it as long as he doesn't meddle into things, meddle into personnel, meddle into getting Tom Brady or players ever again. I think fans are starting to appreciate that. He's built something here in Miami. And Tom Garfunkel does a great job. We're really lucky to have a guy like that who's invested so much of his time and effort, not only on the Dolphins, but on the whole product of Miami, the whole facility, Harris Stadium, the Baptist facility next door. Hopefully one day I can do a tour over there, because you can see the every time they do a press conference or every time they do a videos, it looks like a top of the line facility. So the Dolphins are when they get a free agent and they know they're going to Miami, they know they're going to get first class. So I had a chance to, for the first time, go all the way around the stadium, because of the construction they haven't been able to. You can see where they had where the F1 series had their cars loaded, and I have to take a tailgate section over there. It's just beautiful. They're really, and they're still working on it. So it's only gonna get better. So kudos to the ownership, kudos to the whole team to make it an even better fan experience. As long as the fans learn they cannot make noise when the Dolphins are on offense, we're gonna have a very good home field advantage for years to come.
It's kind of hard for them to do that when our offense is going down and creating these explosive plays, and they have to calm down very quickly. They just haven't learned it. We're not used to this type of thing, so you have to give them a little bit of patience.
By the fourth quarter, they were making the wave.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you be doing the wave? So
ever since that marina, I have not seen the wave at the stadium. I'm like, what? We're up and they're doing the wave.
But a couple things. First of all, Eddie, Stephen Ross owns the sod company, so maybe he can fire himself. I suppose a couple years ago he went out there and they bought their own sod company for this purpose. Right, I forgot. So maybe he should fire himself, or again, as we've talked about many times before, off camera, would be the Miami Hurricanes go find a different team to play at, or a different stadium. But and then the other thing that I think when the big construction was going on at the stadium, and Tom Garfinkel, which absolutely love him and what he's been for this organization. I give him exponentially more credit than the person writing the checks for this, because really I think he's the brains and the architect behind putting those blank checks to work and everything that's happened around there. But I remember Tom Garfinkel saying about the canopy, because first question was, hey, is it going to be like a sound reflective type thing? And he said, absolutely. They're designing it for that purpose. So really, when it turns into that environment, when the fans are absolutely ecstatic and they're packing, and it's like 5% opponents fans because they paid out the wazoo, and everybody else is a Dolphins fan and they're on their feet screaming, it's going to come through to fruition for what Tom had the vision on that. But also, the sun has always been there. The one thing that roof changed is the airflow. And that's really what helps that hot September, early October advantage that the Dolphins enjoy there is the airflow is just not happening. So you can be sitting up where Matt and I had our season tickets up
Yep.
against the concrete wall in section 347 or something like that, and there is no airflow up there. So there's none down on the field. So again, credit to the organization for building it the way that they have. Credit to them for finally landing a head coach who can energize this team and get the tools around the amazing quarterback so he could finally flourish the way that we all hoped that he would.
No matter what the outcome of the season is, we have to appreciate the moment. I was
Absolutely.
thinking about that when I was during halftime of the game. Like, we've been over 20 years of mediocrity of 7-9, 9-7, and 8. Well, on our way to have a really, really good season, and probably for years to come. So we have to. Sometimes we have to temper our expectation. We have high expectations because we're desperate for a winner. We know that there's a timeline, and we're always thinking about, well, next year's cap and next year when Tua gets the $50 million contract, what's going to happen? Well, I try to start with myself to enjoy the moment, enjoy the season, enjoy each game. Hopefully, we're going to enjoy next week's game, but at the time we had even when we were down 14-0, I knew this team was capable of coming back. I knew the team there's something there that no matter what happens, we have a coach that has this team believing. And like Matt said, I think Ferguson said that he would die for that coach. When you have something like that, and I'll admit it once again, that it was not my first choice. I had some reservations about his style of coaching because it's a men's game. It's a tough men's game. It's a violent game, and the buddy system for me I was apprehensive. Like, would that work? But the true story is that the world is changing. He's dealing with millionaires. He's not dealing with other football players, but he's dealing with people who's making a lot of money, who are accustomed to get their way, but he knows how to get there. So probably, and you go to New England where you have a coach like the old ways, selling his old ways. You have to do it this way, the Patriot way, and the Patriot way is right now 1-5. So, so a lot of great teams are coming, not only in the stadium but for this franchise. But that was my message. Hopefully, we can enjoy the moment, enjoy his game, and it's going to be a great season. But no matter what happens, we'll build something special. I'll truly believe that. So next, we're going to talk about Sunday's showdown against the defending NFC champion, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, until the Dolphins win a game on the road in a big spot, I can't trust them. They gave up 48 points to Buffalo. Tua has not won a big road playoff game or a road game in the NFL since he's been there. And I know they're dangerous, but they're walking into Philly at a bad time. Philly lost a terrible game. Hurts is going to hear about Tua at Alabama all week. They're going to hear about how Miami's offense is unstoppable, so that defense is going to be all pumped up. Listen, the Dolphins, I understand they have a prolific offense, and Hill, the weather shouldn't be that bad. I get all that. But when is the last time this franchise, you can't even Marino, when's the last time this franchise walked into a big, last year they got killed in San Francisco, they got killed in Buffalo early in the year. When's the last time this franchise took this crew, went on the road and played, and don't count the Patriots or the Chargers, a good team, and won a game? I've never seen it. So because of that, until I do, I say I don't trust them.
You know what, Dougie, when the Lord created us, we crawled before we walked. You know that, right?
Ooh,
there's always step one. And I don't see any reason why it can't be step one with the Miami Dolphins this year. It's a legitimate argument that can be made that they can end up having the best record in the AFC. If they pull that off, that means the road to the Super Bowl comes through South Beach, or at least nearby. And the fact is that if I don't have to worry about them going to Buffalo in the cold January evening, if I don't have to worry about them going to Kansas City, if I don't have to worry about them going to Cincinnati or Cleveland, all right, and I get to sit up there and watch them play games near South Beach, I'm looking at a team that is averaging over nearly 36 points a game, that already have scored what did they score? 223 points thus far this year. Okay, they are number one in yards. They are number one in points. They got the number one passing attack. They got the number one rushing attack. And the likelihood is that if you're going to beat them, you need to count on putting up at least 25 to 30. You got to be able to do that. Now, we haven't looked at the Dolphins defense and said they're trash. We think they can improve. They're ranked 26th overall. They're ranked 19th against the pass, 20th against the rush, middle of the road. But that's usually because they're scoring in bunches. So they can take chances. They can take their foot off the gas. There's a level of urgency that's lacking because they're putting up points. And they got bum rushed by Buffalo, and I get that. That's the one game where they wet the bed and they got something to prove in regards to that. But rather than lean on the 48-20 loss that they suffered at the hands of the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo a few weeks ago, you know what I'm going to point to? I'm going to point to the same squad last year in the AFC playoff game against the Buffalo Bills, losing 34-31 with Skylar Thompson as their quarterback. And I'm going to say, well, what if this year it's Tua instead of Skylar? What if this year if the game is in Florida instead of Buffalo? Do they have a chance? You damn right they have a chance. You crawl before you walk.
Leave it to Stephen A. to be the voice of research. Those are wild and crazy times right now when you have Stephen A. Making sense of the Dolphins. I truly believe the Dolphins have a chance to win on the road. It's a very different scenario than the Buffalo game. The Dolphins historically has, not fared very well in Buffalo, but the Dolphins are going this Sunday, and Sunday night is going to be a huge game. Everybody was going to be watching. But I want to start with you, Steve. What are your thoughts about this game? It's going to be a huge game for the Dolphins. Huge expectations all over the place.
Yep, I'm not on mute. Good. No, Stephen A. Smith, I don't find myself agreeing with him too often, but he hit the nail on the head. Mm-hmm. The Dolphins have something to prove. But that's our theme this year. The Dolphins have had something to prove. Earlier this year, we talked about how the Dolphins weren't able to travel to LA last year and win a game. Did that. Unable to play the big primetime games. Went up to New England second week, Sunday Night Football. Did that. There are questions that still remain. Failed to go to Buffalo. We failed in way too many ways. Just kind of that slap in the face, that punch in the jaw, see how we react. And we've turned around, we've reacted in the right way. In general, against top teams, I think that we've positively answered a lot of questions, but there are still questions that remain. And I think every week we roll out a different wrinkle. We roll out a different type of look that people haven't seen, the teams that haven't really seen. And I think that we're gonna get an answer to a lot of the questions. And again, it's going to be two of those at the same time. Can we go on the road against a big team, and can we do it in prime time? And I can't say I'm concerned, because I don't think the Eagles are the juggernaut that they're made out to be. But we'll get more to that into the keys to the game, the next segment and everything. But I'm really looking forward to going up and seeing how we can hold our own against a top team in the league, one of my top 5.
Most definitely. Matt, what are your thoughts about the huge game this Sunday night? The Dolphins travel to Philadelphia to face the Eagles.
I'm really excited about this game. It's not often that you get an opportunity to prove yourself. As Steve said, we've had some benchmark tests that we've needed to pass this season. Question marks. I think that so far so good. This game I'm more excited about than I am nervous. Like the Bills game, I'll admit, man, I know I'm the one who said 20-0, but I was also internally like, this is probably the first one of the season. And, I'm not Nostradamus here. That's what happened. Coming off 70-point game, going up there, and the Bills were just ready for the Dolphins to show them that they're still the king of the AFC East. But this game Sunday night has more potential positive impact than beating the Bills would have had. The Eagles were the Super Bowl runner-up. Every year, I think, I don't know what the statistic is, but it's not uncommon for the Super Bowl runner-up to not make the playoffs the next season. And this is an opportunity for the Dolphins to lay their claim in the hierarchy of the NFL, go in there, beat the Super Bowl runner-up, start that slide for them. This would be 2 losses in a row for the Eagles, right? Start that slide for them. And I'm going to add one more thing to this that's really cool, in my opinion. It's that the Eagles, they're no longer undefeated. The Dolphins are no longer undefeated. So there's not going to be this background noise of can they continue? Can they go undefeated? Now it's just about football. Now it's about Tua versus Jalen. Now it's about last year's rookie head coach who took him to a Super Bowl against the media darling that Mike McDaniel is. And by the way, there's a ton of substance behind Mike McDaniel as well. There's a lot of talking points on this game that really makes me excited. And one last thing, I'm ambivalent about the Eagles. If it were the Bills, the Patriots, an AFC team, I'd probably have a lot more emotion devoted to it. I'm going to be able to sit there and watch what I think is going to be a fantastic football game, and I'll make my prediction here in a few.
Eddie, what are your thoughts about a huge showdown? You can see what Stephen A. said. The Dolphins are making some people who are not used to be believers, but everything can go backwards if the Dolphins don't fare well this game. So what are your thoughts about Sunday's game against the Eagles?
Well, first I'll start with Stephen A. Usually I do not agree with him. Like he says, Tua only throws the ball. He still says it 2 yards down the field. He obviously does not watch football. As for the other guy, that's Mad Dog Russo, I believe. I don't like his voice. I don't like his face, and I can't stand him. I think he's an absolute freaking idiot.
Controversial.
Hey,
But other than that, I'm sure he's a great person. But because we have never beat anybody good on the road like the Ravens last year,
Exactly.
or the Chargers in the first game. That's them.
Yeah, because now going to Foxborough is like everybody goes to Foxborough now, but with the Dolphins used to go to Foxborough and win. Didn't get enough credit, but please.
Hey, they had us 0-2.
Yeah.
All them people had us 0-2 at the beginning of the year, and we won both games. As for the Eagle game, I think it's going to be a good test, but I'm not nervous like it was the Bills game, because if they lose an out-of-division game or out-of-conference game, it doesn't bug me as much. So I almost want them to rest Xavier and Connor so they don't have lingering groin issues. I think they're going to put up some points on the Eagles. I really do. I think Eichenberg proved himself last week, because that's a pretty good defensive line in Carolina, and he made no mistakes. So obviously McDaniel was right. It was his first time playing that against Buffalo. He made good adjustments, but I am really looking forward to the game. Like I said, I'm not nervous. Whatever happens, happens. But I do think they will play well on a national stage this time.
Yeah, what's really impressed me about it is it's going to be a huge game. But it's going to be a huge game just because of perception. Now, if the Dolphins win, they're going to say, well, they were hurt and they're probably on the better day will not go to Philadelphia and win. If they lose, see, there you go again. They're pretender, they're frost, they're now to part with the upper teams. The fact is that the Dolphins are on the upward. So they still have a lot of people out. Nobody's talking about that. Well, still, Ramsey is not yet back. A-Shane is not yet back. And, the offensive line, Connor Williams, Teron Armstrong are not back.
Yeah.
So the Dolphins are going to get a lot of pieces. They're going to get 2 of the top 100 players in the NFL on the next month back. So that's the important thing. The Dolphins are playing not for week 6, week 7 of the year. You can see McDaniel is playing this. They'll play in checkers. The Dolphins are playing chess. He's playing for the whole season. The important thing is that if the Dolphins have 3 losses at the end of the year and they get home field advantage, nobody's going to care if they lost against the Eagles, against the Bills, or whatever. The bottom line is that they need home field advantage. We go back to the rock. So we need to get that home field advantage. And he's playing the long season. He's building for the season. he's setting up the team perfectly. So it's a huge game. It's going to be a huge win when the Dolphins win this Sunday. Hopefully the Dolphins win. I think they have a very good chance, considering that, to be honest, it's true. The Eagles are not 100% either, but no team by now is 100%. So there should be no excuses. So we're not 100% either. So, but the Dolphins should, come up with a win this weekend. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the keys to the game. I want to know what your thoughts about the keys to the game. It's like a weird game considering the Eagles started the year with so much expectations. They started 5-0. They were crushing some on the running game, on the defense. They're playing well, but sometimes you can see they were not up to par. They lost both coordinators. That usually hurts some teams. Compared to last year's team, they're still were 5-0, but not as dominant as the 5-0 they were last year. So I want to start with you, Steve. What do you think of the keys to the game to winning on Sunday, the Dolphins?
I think that they're still the same team that they were last year, and just to carry on your point here, that they're not the explosive team, and I don't think they were the explosive team last year, and their defense is just really, really formidable. But if we're looking at keys to the game, first and foremost, we have to control the ball. Philadelphia Eagles are, I believe, number 2 in the league right now in time of possession. They're a team that grinds you down. The long drives, the morally defeating drives where you think you've got them stopped at 3rd and 6 and they get down to 4th and 1, and any normal team on their own 35-yard line is going to turn around and punt in that opportunity. Instead, what they're going to do is pull out their quarterback sneak and their Philly shove, or whatever you want to call it, and they end up converting at a very, very high rate, probably second only to Lusaka Polite from the Miami Dolphins earlier in the 2000s with his conversion rate. Really can't make the mistakes. It's just like Buffalo. We're not going up against Denver, Carolina, the New York Giants here. We have to really limit the mistakes. Done a phenomenal job with penalties this year, but we really need to work on the turnovers. We can't spot teams like Philadelphia 14 points, 10 points. Can't go into those 2-score deficits. Again, the defense is very, very strong. It's who their hallmark was last year, I think. And we're going to have to give Tua time. He's fastest release in the NFL, so they're just going to have to give him enough time for that. But they're also one of the best teams against the run. And so we have the NFL's leading running team, rushing offense, going up against one of the top rushing defenses in the league. I think they've given up 65 yards per game. So I think we're going to see a couple very strong forces collide here, and we really have to set the tone. Don't feel the urgency to panic like we did up in Buffalo, I think, and really just do what we talked about earlier. McDaniel needs to stick to the script and play his game, and I think that we can win.
Matt, what are your thoughts about what the keys to the game for the Sunday's game against the Eagles?
I read today that the Dolphins lead the league both in rushing and in passing. And I don't know that I've ever experienced that. It's such a mind-blowing thing, and what they've done in the running game. We've talked about this in previous episodes. We've talked about the growth of the offensive line, and that's critical for this Sunday night. That offensive line is going to be tested. It's going to be tested as far as the run game, getting those holes open. It's also going to be tested to keep number 1 on his feet. So the biggest key to the game for me is the offensive line. I am thrilled with their play so far this season. They've been unbelievable. Another stat I saw was that they've given up the second fewest sacks in the league. I believe it's second fewest. And when you think of the rhetoric that was around coming into this season, it was all about keeping people healthy so that they could, stay in the game and play. The offensive line, and I also think that Jalen Hurts, I think he's a great quarterback, but I think that he can be taken advantage of. I think that he was shown to be beatable last week, but I think there's cracks in his skills, and I think that Fangio's the guy to illuminate those cracks and get the Dolphins to take advantage of those. So my keys to the game, pretty much the same as everyone else. Can't get down 14-0. Control the offensive line, both running and pass blocking, and then really, really upset Jalen Hurts. That's really where I'm going to go with this.
Absolutely. How about you, Eddie? What do you think? What do you believe are the keys to the game on Sunday against the Eagles?
Staying ahead of the chains, making them one-dimensional. You have to stop their run. You have to stop Swift. You cannot have them running the ball and then play action or Hurts running. I'd like to keep them in 3rd and long, because 3rd and short, they're an unstoppable team and they can do a lot of play action off of that. So keep them at 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Get off the field, win the turnover battle for once. Or 3 and outs. I'll take 3 and outs and good field position to get our offense going. And I'd like to get a lead and pin our ears back. I think we're 3rd in sacks. I think we have 20 sacks for the season, which
That's
is
incredible.
unbelievable. I would have never thought they had that many sacks. I don't know who said that earlier, but it's quiet. It's like a quiet team that just gets to the quarterback, and somebody is always putting some kind of pressure, usually on the quarterback. There's times I'm yelling at all of them, but they get there eventually. But yeah, just stay ahead of the chains. Do not turn the ball over against that team and give them short fields, and make hurry. If you hurry Hurts, he will make a mistake, and that's what they need to do.
Absolutely. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Liam Eichenberg, if Williams is not playing, Liam Eichenberg is the key to the game. They're so strong up the middle. So Liam Eichenberg, if he can play like the way he played last week. Of course, the Panthers are not a bad defensive front, but the Eagles are probably the best defensive front on the whole league. So if Liam Eichenberg can find a way to stay steady, to control, don't make any turnover, the fumble, that bad snap, that huge mental mistake that cost us a sack on Tua, that's a key. And also Big Fangio, again, I don't want to be a broken record, but Big Fangio, he knows that team. He knows what they're doing over there. We don't say it for a second, but he'll be right back. But Big Fangio knows that team. They used to be there. He knows what they're doing. He was part of the game plan for the Super Bowl. So he knows how to play Jalen Hurts. He knows what they have over there. So this defense is kind of strange. They're not a dominant defense, but when they need a stop, a couple of weeks, that you can see they can find a stop. So then they're carrying pressure. So Big Fangio can find a way to scheme again, like Eddie said, not to put the team on the 3rd and 1, and 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. The Dolphins are going to have a chance. And time of possession, if they're running the ball, they're keeping Tua and Tyreek Hill and Waddle on the field. We're going to have a rough, very, very rough. Yeah. Okay, Steve, any last thoughts about the key of the game?
No, it's you brought up Eichenberg, and I'll say this: in previous times, even earlier this year, when Eichenberg stepped in at left guard, in then his first game at center, it's almost as if losing the mental battle is his doom. He loses the mental battle before the ball is even snapped, and you can tell that that's what happens. And I think that's really what the difference is between last year and this year. I mean, we have Kendall Lamb. We have a replacement holding it down at left tackle. We have a replacement center, and we have who, up until 7 weeks ago, I was ready to buy his plane ticket out of Miami and Austin Jackson, and he has been playing lights out. And I think the difference year over year of what we've seen with the same players is the mental battle. You're not seeing them make those mental mistakes when the ball is snapped that we saw them do before. They're going to need that against this defensive line, because the defensive line has depth and talent, and I don't know if they've yet really turned it on. So I think that that's going to be one of the biggest keys to the game. Eddie or Matt, had said something. Matt, you said it. You got a point. We're tops in the league in passing and rushing, and I had said myself, establish the running game, prove that you can run it. Well, do we really need to prove it if we can blow their doors off to the point that they have nothing to do but worry about the pass and then we establish the run at that point? I don't care. Just win, baby. That's my mentality. And the last thing is, we're not going up against a juggernaut team here that strikes and strikes and strikes. I was looking to see Phillies put up 25-34, 25-34. The last 2 weeks, 23 and 14 points against a very tough Jets defense. But they're not a juggernaut that just strikes quick. I think that we have a very good chance here. We just need to execute our game plan very, very well.
Definitely, space is going to be key. Matt, do you have any last thoughts?
No, I mentioned it a moment ago. I'm incredibly excited about it. Most of the time, it's kind of, it's a beaten dog. We've had 20 years of hope, and that was really it. And now, look, man, they put up 70 against Denver, and something like that hadn't happened in 50 years, 60 years? That's an anomaly. Then they come back and they put up 42 against the Panthers. It's the Panthers, I get it, but that's that consistency we've talked about since the very beginning. Absolutely. They in years past, I remember, Steve, I think it's the game that is such a important backdrop in your personal life. We hammered the Chargers for 37, right?
35-0.
35. Okay.
Yep.
So that was the anomaly of that particular season. Nobody expected that. Holy crap! The Chargers had a bad day, right? But now the consistency is. I had no doubt that we were going to score after the Panthers scored their second touchdown. I had no doubt. And when it happened, I was like, there we go. We're in this game. That fear, that feeling is being repressed, and I'm fine with that. I'm really excited about Sunday night. There's a part of me that wishes it was the 1 o'clock game, because I'm going to be so amped one way or the other Sunday night. It's going to be difficult to go to sleep. So, looking forward to it, guys.
Absolutely. There's a storm coming to Puerto Rico on this weekend, so hopefully the storm is on Monday and they can watch the game on Sunday night. So we'll see what happens. So, but next we're gonna go to the big finish and the top 5 power rankings. Well, it's the top 5 power rankings for the week. It's been a very interesting week, to say the least. A lot of teams are 5-1, but right now it's gonna be interesting. But I'm gonna start from the top. I'm gonna put the Lions at number 1. I'm gonna be bold about this. The Lions right now have the momentum. They might not be the best team on the NFL, but I'm gonna put the Lions at number 1. I'm gonna shock the world by putting the Lions at number 1. They had the momentum. Eddie's back. Let me see if I can put. Hey, there you go. Hey. Here's Eddie.
Eddie.
Here's Eddie. Eddie, we're about the power rankings. I was saying that I'm gonna put the Lions at number 1. I'm gonna shock the world and say the Lions are right now at number 1. They're probably not the best team in the NFL overall, but they're playing the best of all. They're playing with momentum. Their coach is like we are. They're believing on the culture over there. So I'm gonna have the Lions at number 1. I'm gonna have the Chiefs at number 2, just because I wanna have them there right for the taking, where we play them in Germany. So I'm gonna have them at number 2. They have the Dolphins at number 3. They're surging. They're going up. So I'm gonna have the Dolphins at number 3, and I'm going to have the 49ers at number 4. They should have won that game. They lost a lot of players. McCaffrey went down. Debo Samuel went down. And the weather, when they're having that kind of weather in San Francisco, they love it so much. But look what happened with the shoes on the other foot. They went to Cleveland. Eddie's Cleveland Browns put the stomp on the 49ers. So a great defense for the Browns. And and they were number 4. I'm gonna have the Eagles on number 5. I had the chance after the game. I went to the hotel. I watched most of the Eagles Jets game. The Jets are gonna be a problem. We're gonna talk eventually about them, but the Eagles, they look lost at the game. The Jets had no offense, and they still looked like the better team at that moment. But their West Coast team, they have a very good roster. They're hurt, but for now, they're the last 5-1 team. So I'm gonna have them at number 5. So number 1 Lions, number 2 Chiefs, number 3 Dolphins, number 4 San Francisco 49ers, and number 5 the Philadelphia Eagles. So Matt, do you have a top 5 power rankings?
I do. I'm keeping the Dolphins at 5. It works. Not too, their head's not getting too full. I know they're watching us. I know they watch us, and I know they're taking what
I
we
know there's
said
some
are.
people that are watching. That some interesting stuff are happening about other channels are doing interesting stuff compared to what they used to do before. So I know they're watching. But go ahead. I'm sorry about that. I had to take it out of my chest.
So I'm going to keep the Dolphins at number 5. In the vein of the old college try, we're going to put the Philadelphia Eagles at number 4. So we have a top 5 matchup this Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. We're going to go. Let's go ahead and go with. I think we're going to go ahead and put the Niners at number 3. We'll put the Chiefs at number 2, and you stole my thunder. I was going to put the Lions at number 1 as well, Sammy. I was going to do that in the vein of Eddie from a few weeks ago when he shocked the world with his Cleveland. And they're actually, I've been paying attention to them, Eddie. They're actually not half bad. But they
yeah, definitely.
In an AFC that is just flipping loaded, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am not a Cleveland fan at all. I have a Twitter acquaintance who is a dyed in the wool since he was a little boy Cleveland Browns fan. God bless him. So there's a part of me that does root for them just because I'd like to see that guy have some joy in his life. But back on point, Dolphins, Eagles, 49ers, Chiefs, and your Detroit Lions at number 1.
Eddie, how about you?
I think I said it a couple weeks ago. If the Dolphins are overrated, the whole NFL is overrated.
Yes.
Showed this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Lions 1. I guess Kansas City 2, even though they're not really impressing me that much. 3, I'm going to drop San Francisco to 3rd this week because you don't lose to a team with that at quarterback. I mean, even with Watson, they need a quarterback, Cleveland. If they had a quarterback, that team would be very dangerous.
Yeah.
4 Eagles, 5. I'm with Matt on that. I'm keeping Miami down there so they don't get their heads too big. Let's watching our show here, thinking we're over.
There you go.
Steve, I promise next week you're gonna go first. But what are your thoughts?
No, it's all good, man. I don't know. Last week I went with the turnover battle, and I was like, Buccaneers, and then Detroit went in there and just beat the living hell out of them in Tampa. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not watching enough Detroit football or something. But I did allow them into my top 5. So Detroit Lions are number 5. Kansas City Chiefs, they are who they are. Again, reigning champions, but they're just not the same team. I think they got Mecole Hardman. I guess every Chief that leaves ends up coming back pretty quickly, except for Tyreek Hill, thank goodness. But so trying to do something about that horrendous receiving core, but I still think they're great. Number 4, so Detroit, Kansas City, Miami Dolphins, number 3. Eagles in a head-to-head battle at number 2. My old saying, you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. So move into that top 2 spot, and then we can talk about the 49ers. I don't disagree with you. PJ Walker had absolutely no place in this world to be the quarterback that beat the undefeated 49ers. But he didn't. He didn't lose the game for them. But damn, that defense is good. That defense is scary good. But so Detroit, Kansas City, Miami Dolphins, Philly, and then the 49ers. We'll see how it goes. There's no accountability here anyway. You guys will laugh at me next week, and I can handle it. So
5-1 teams. There's a lot of parity. There's a lot of teams. That's basically the upper echelon of the whole league. So, and I have to talk about this because that's one of my guilty pleasures. How about Kevin Harlan? Another win for Kevin Harlan calling the Dolphins game. That is so much fun.
how we have to go from Kevin Harlan to Chris Collinsworth.
And Tirico, so it's kind of boring. So, but it was so exciting to hear him call that game, even the highlights. So it was so much fun. Well, guys, it was another great week. Hopefully, we'll be here next week celebrating another Dolphins win. So I like our chances. It's not a slam dunk. But if you asked me before the season started where we'll be right now, we told me we'll be 5-1 going to Philadelphia to play an Eagles team that is not 100%. I will take my chances. So I like my chances. So guys, thank you as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be here next week. We have a part of the episode that went over 1,600 views. So
that is incredible.
We appreciate it. They're not going to be every single week like that, not yet. But it's so important for people to like and subscribe. So we really appreciate it. We love the Dolphins. We're doing this out of love. We're just for guys who truly believe in this team, truly enjoy our company, to talk about the Dolphins and want to share those thoughts. Always forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and all takes are appreciated. So until next week, guys, thank you very much, and fins up.
Fins up, guys. Take care.
Don't forget also with the way to Miami. They're talking Super Bowl. Good night.
Good night.
Good stuff.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Miami Dolphins.